Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever or whenever you happen to be listening to this. Thank you for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja based event and wedding photographer Tavishima Ayede. At the last recording, we went over how Yawa can gas in building up your wedding practice, and in my opinion, the reason why we have issues with our customers, why they get angry, and why we have customer service issues is because for most of the time, I would say maybe 80 or 90% of the time, is because there has been a failure of expectations. They expected one thing, you misunderstood and delivered something else. Or you delivered what was expected, but then again, you had a different understanding about what was due to you or the level of cooperation you receive, and maybe they had a different understanding about that. And then, in that failure of expectations, you know, the trouble ensues, the quarrel arises, and then you guys, both of you are angry and hot-headed now, and then you are trying to resolve the situation. Rather, hopefully, you guys are trying to resolve the situation. Of course, I also mentioned that sometimes the problem might arise because there has been a failure of service. Although I think that's not what will happen in most of the case, because a lot of us are fairly competent already. So I'm a wedding photographer. So my colleagues, other photographers that I run into, and other people in this wedding and event space, video guys, decorators, event planners, caterers, you find out that the typical caterer you run into is already competent. Her jollof rice will taste nice. The egusi is going to be correct. The amala is going to be on point. It is rare that you will find a wedding caterer who shows up and delivers food, and you find out that let's say the egusi was had that sour taste because it's already going bad. So it is rare that is going to happen, that there's going to be a failure of the product or the service. So be that as it may, I think we ought to pay more attention to the failure of expectations, because that's the one that a lot of us are going to run into. So photographers, the chances of you taking a crappy photo that is not properly exposed, I mean, those chances are very low. There are times that it will happen and there's absolutely nothing you can do, like you missed the shot, so those times will happen. But the chances are that not that you're going to take a terrible photo, but that you and the bride have different understandings about what makes a beautiful photo. And so you promise them the world that you're going to give stellar photography, and you show up and you deliver. But unfortunately, it was stellar photography as understood by you and as determined by you, but meanwhile she expects something else. And the example that I gave was in my own case, where I think stellar wedding photography is all about the moments. It's very documentary. You get everything as it happens. But then, if you're with a bride who wants everything to be ultra staged and ultra sophisticated and aspirational, then by all means, you better deliver on that, because you're going to say, "Oh, look, I captured the moment." And like in my own case, this was with a groom. Actually, the guy said, "Mr. Tavishima, you're talking moment, 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 moment. But look, throughout all these photos, my cravat was loose, and you're telling me moment." So it's one of those things. For me, I thought I did a good job because I got the moment. He was smiling, they're in love, they're dancing, there's the spontaneity, there's everything. But as far as this groom was concerned, his cravat was loose. I should have told him, "Hey, bros," and then, you do that thing where you pinch your neck, pretend there's a tie, and then you shuffle it a bit, and then the other guy will get the message like, "Oh, my tie is loose, my cravat is loose," and he will adjust. So that's what the guy, that's what he expected. For me, I thought moments. For him, he thought cravat should have been on point. I should have made sure that all the details were, all the I's and T's were totally, that everything was properly paid attention to. So anyway, I guess I spent too much time on the recap. So this is what we're going to do today. So now, we're at the point where we know for sure that the bride is upset, the groom is upset, the parents of the bride and the groom are upset, or maybe you are the one upset. Now, what are we going to do? For some reason, a lot of wedding industry people, or at least the wedding industry people that I've come across so far, they resort to text. They send an email. So let's say it's about money, for instance. you think you are being owed more money than the bride says, the first thing that the photographer will do or the wedding planner will do will be to send an email or send a WhatsApp message to ask for payment. If it's the other way around, you'll find that the bride will send a message to say how unhappy she is, and then the photographer will respond, by saying, now what do you mean? After all, it's only 50K that you guys paid. Can't you see the quality of service that I did for you guys, and blah blah blah, and on and on and on. Now, in my own opinion, I think there's a hierarchy of ways to respond. I'm not going to look into the content of what it is that you say, but I'm going to look at the medium of how you choose to communicate. Now, in my own opinion, when you have a problematic situation, the first thing to do and the best thing to do, in my own opinion, is first of all face to face. When you guys are face to face, you're able to pick up on lots of context, lots of cues. So you there as the wedding photographer, you'll be able to get a sense of what it is that really pained the bride about what happened and what it is that she was totally happy about. So that's my hierarchy, face to face. Now, unfortunately, there will be situations where face to face is not possible because everybody might be so ticked off that, quite frankly, they don't want to talk to you right now. And in my own case, I had one of the grooms, even that's in the message that he sent, because I tried calling, he didn't answer. In the message that he sent, or I think it was even an email, he said he was going to call the police or something like that and involve a lawyer. He was a military dude. So that leads to, that kind of ties in with what it is that we're supposed to do next. So first of all, face-to-face. Sometimes face-to-face might not be possible because tensions are high. There might be threat of violence or molestation. So in that case, I say the next thing to do is pick up the phone, which is what I did. So I called the guy, and this is why it's important to establish a certain level of rapport in the build-up to the sales process. And we had an okay level of rapport, so I was able to be straightforward with him on the phone, like, hey dude, how far? I saw your email. Come on guy, this is not necessary. I mean, realistically speaking, if you call a lawyer, what is it that you're going to achieve? Let's not forget that my first degree is in law. How much is the lawyer going to collect from you? And how much is it that you guys even pay for this wedding? So let's be realistic. We're men, we're dudes. Let's sit down, let's hash this thing out. Abi, what do you think? And of course, throughout the course of that conversation, the guy mellowed a little bit, and we had a frank conversation, and we were able to resolve the issue. Now, you're not going to be able to get to that level of rapport and understanding and to calm things down if you guys keep sending emails back and forth. Because I've noticed something really terrible happens when you send emails and when you send WhatsApp messages. For some reason, there are some of you that will be apologetic and say, oh, I'm totally sorry that we failed you in the photography, or that the food was not up to point, or that we made this mistake in the wedding decor. And you might try to list some extenuating circumstances, that this happened because of this happened because of that. Now, for some reason, I've noticed that it always happens that the bride or the groom won't see that paragraph where you kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. For some reason, their eyes just go straight to the extenuating circumstances, and then they now get more upset, like, this person is even trying to form on top. Or are they trying to say that it was because of me? Are they trying to say that we were the ones at fault? But when you are having a face-to-face or a phone conversation, it's hard to ignore the fact that this person actually said sorry 2 minutes ago. Even if they're trying to list extenuating circumstances now for why things went bad, you can't really ignore the fact that this person said sorry because you were there, you saw it, and if it seemed like a sincere apology, I'm sure that you felt it. So, number one, face to face. Number two, pick up the phone so you guys can hash things. Out. There's also another option that's available. Back when I had this problem, that's with the military guy, this technology was not really popular at the time. But now we also have video, so you can do that, Zoom, or I guess a WhatsApp video would be much more impersonal. You can WhatsApp video, and then you guys can talk these things out. Now, voice and video interactions are better because they make it easier for you to hear, that's if it's phone only, and see emotions and get a better handle on what the real issues are. So for me, these are my hierarchy of how you should approach things. When yawa gas and the shit has hit the fan, try and do it face to face. Try and have this conversation with the bride and the groom or their parents or whoever face to face. If you don't think that would be wise because tempers are really high, and pick up the phone or or try and schedule a video conferencing call or something like that where you guys are all chatting, because over the phone you guys are going to be able to pick up on visual cues, and you're going to be able to build empathy a lot easier. And then plus, and this is one practicality about it that people don't quite appreciate, if you're sending emails back and forth, this thing is going to last 1 week. I can assure you it's going to last 1 week, because you send an email, they might not respond immediately because they're angry, then they'll respond, you'll read it and you'll be upset, and then you go off, and then they'll respond, and then they'll respond, and before you know it, you guys have sent 20 emails over the course of 1 week, and that doesn't make things better. It actually makes it quite worse, because now the bride and her parents, if her parents are involved, have had 1 week to stew over the whole thing, and each day they're getting more and more upset. However, even if you're going to quarrel, but you pick up the phone and you call, chances are you're going to finish that quarrel today or maybe tomorrow. If you pick up the phone or if you do face to face, you can wrap this thing up in a day or two, rather than a week or 2 weeks of angry WhatsApp messages and emails back and forth and things like that. Now let's get to the content of what it is that you do, because we are pressed on time. Now, whatever option you choose, whether you go face to face or you pick up the phone or you have a or you do video conferencing or whatever, even if you choose to do email on WhatsApp or SMS, although I am begging you guys right now, guys and girls, if I could, I would get on my knees and beg you personally, please do not do texts, do not do SMS, WhatsApp or email. But if you decide to do that, in case you haven't listened to my advice so far, the goal of reaching out should be to requalify the situations that we've spoken about in the past. It's to ask questions to get to the root of the matter. Now remember, one of the qualifications frameworks, the more easier ones that I introduced you guys to, that's Brian Tracy: want, need, afford. So your ultimate goal should be that, to use one of those frameworks. So in this case, let's say you're a wedding photographer and you're running want, need, afford, and urgency. So you would ask like, Bimpe, how far now? Happy married life. Sorry, I just saw your message. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you guys were upset. So the book that I delivered, wasn't that the kind that you wanted or that we agreed to? You see, we're on the one thing. And if the book is not the problem, as you ask more questions, you will get eventually to what the problem is, and you know how to address it. But if the want was the issue, she will go off on, that whole thing of how can you deliver this kind of book, as you did the design, the line cut across my face, and this and this and that and that. You can see here that by starting off with the want in the qualifications framework, we're getting straight to the root of the matter. So, you take it that way. Ask questions to find out, to requalify. Ask questions about what they want, what they need. Sometimes it might be that time frames might be an issue. The reason why she sent you that snarky SMS or left that bad review on Google was maybe because they were expecting that you were going to deliver next week, but you made it clear that it's going to take you 3 weeks to deliver. But bottom line is, when we reach out to them, the goal is not to justify ourselves, but to requalify and get to the root of what the matter is, and then we'll be able to determine whether we can redress the matter, or whether it's one of those situations where we just have to say I'm sorry and then fall on our sword, because really there's some things that cannot be undone. So if, as the caterer, the problem was that the egusi was sour and a couple of the guests had running tummies after that, I don't know, maybe you offer a partial refund if you can. But if it's one of those weddings where you cut the budget really close, the best you can do really is to say, is to fall on the sword. Say, I'm sorry. That's all that can be done. But anyway, we will look into that in the future as per options that are available for how you can redress. So as a summary, there's a hierarchy of how you should go about this when the shit has hit the fan. Try and do it face to face. If there's threat of molestation, if there are threats to your physical safety, then avoid face to face. Pick up the phone. Try and schedule a video call so that all of you can talk about this. Let's see what else. But bottom line is face to face is at the top, phone and video is somewhere in the middle. The absolute bottom is email. Please do not do email, because email is very, very impersonal. Slightly above email is WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is text and it has the disadvantages that go along with all text form of communications, but at least WhatsApp is kind of thought of as a personal medium, so it won't be that impersonal. So that's the hierarchy, and please, I'd advise you guys to try and stick with that. It's going to save you a lot of trouble. And then when we do finally get the bride or the groom or members of the family to pick up, the goal is not to justify. It's not to apportion blame and fault. If you do that, you're going to tick them off. Yes, there are times that legitimately, the problem was with the bride and the groom. They didn't follow the outline that you laid out and stuff like that. So yes, it was their fault. But I can assure you that telling them right there and then that it was their fault, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out too good. In fact, I have a story about that. This lady was from a pastor's family. The groom was not from a pastor's family. Their family likes to cut loose, if you catch my drift. And of course, on the wedding day, when I was taking photos, I saw stuff happening. I saw red cups and I saw some bottles. And I was like, hey, dude, and his opinion was, I beg, just keep shooting. As in, just keep shooting. All is well. So, voila, I kept shooting. And then only for the wedding, that was when Yawan August, after they had made the selection for the album, their parents saw the album, and then Yawan August, why are we seeing red cups? Why are we seeing Hennessy? Why are we seeing this? Why are we seeing that? Now, from what I've told you guys, it's obvious that the fault was theirs, because, I shoot documentary style, so I capture everything. And the groom's opinion was, continue shooting. There's no Yawa, nothing there happen. And then they saw the pictures and they selected some photos to go into their album. So, technically speaking, it was their fault. But I can assure you, you're in that situation, telling them it was absolutely your fault because, one, you said keep on shooting, and then number two, Madam Bride, you even looked over the photos and you said put this in the album, so it's not my fault. Telling them it's their fault is not going to make anything a whole lot. It's not going to make anything easier. So, when you do get through to them, the whole point is to requalify the situation, to get to what the root of the matter is, and then we'll see whether we can redress the issue if we can, or if not, we just fall on the sword and say I'm sorry, and you know that you just chalk this one up to bad luck or poor thinking or lack of discretion on your own part. Okay, so let's wrap it up. Today we're hitting close to 20 minutes, which is more than what I'm comfortable doing. Okay, so thank you for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja-based event and wedding photographer Tavishima Agide. I'll try and catch you guys on the next episode. Let's see if we can put a peg in this handling customer service conversations. Okay, yeah, so that's it. You guys have a wonderful day. If you happen to be listening to it at the beginning of the day, if you're one of those people who listen to it just before you go to bed, then have a wonderful snooze, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.